I saw an ad online for fertility. What caught my attention was they were offering at-home blood tests to test my hormone levels. I think they came up because at that point, this was late last year, very early January this year, my algorithm had started to feed me fertility content. I ordered the kit and it arrived within a couple of days. The key with that kit is you have to test your blood on day 3 of your cycle. So although the kit arrived really early, I had a few weeks to wait. Day 3 arrived and I attempted to follow the instructions in the kit, which were very well explained. I do think this was user error on my part. All you had to do was take a pinprick of your blood from one of your fingers and fill up a little sample plot, this big-ish, the same as they give you in the hospital if you're going for a blood test in the hospital. It's the same size. They gave me in this kit 5 retractable needles. So I had up to 5 fingers. It took me over an hour and I had filled just about to the top. I was covered in blood. There was blood dripping down my hands and my arms. I looked like I'd walked out of a scene from a horror film. Was really excited, very proud. Put my kit in the post. You have to do that immediately. Sent it off. And then waited not so patiently for the results. The results came through on my phone to say, well done for trying, but you did not take your blood correctly. Something with the red blood cells has gone wrong. We were unable to test. So we're going to send you a replacement kit, which they did. Very grateful for that. What that meant was I had to wait another month because you need to test on day 3. So another month goes by. I think, oh, this is going to be a struggle. What fertility suggested I do is book in with one of their specialists. So I set up a call, 8:30 in the morning, before work, jumped on this call. She had me doing jumping jacks to get my blood pumping in my kitchen at 8:30 in the morning. And it still did not work. I managed to get a quarter of the vial, which is not enough to test. We needed half as a bare minimum to test, and I got half of half. Not ideal. This lady was incredible. She was very patient. She talked me through everything. She did have me doing jumping jacks multiple times actually that morning because my blood kept drying up. It wouldn't come through. And I drank all of the water. I did everything I was supposed to do. I followed the instructions, but my blood was not playing ball that morning. So she said, not to worry. We don't panic in this situation, although I was completely panicking. And she said, what we'll do is because the at-home kit is not working for you, we will arrange for a nurse to come to your house and take your blood. And it's all part of this service. Okay, really appreciate that. But you have to wait one more month because you need to test on day 3. And we can't get you a nurse on the same day. That's not realistic. Bearing in mind, waiting one more month took us into March. So I am 3 months into the year, desperately trying to get hold of my own data. I was deep into the research at this point, not drinking, not going out, spending my Friday nights reading. And as much as I enjoy the research, what I was really, really hoping for was to have my test results so I could compare them to the wider data sets that had been taken. To me, having that data, that is my basis of making any informed decision. Going through that blood testing experience for 2 months and then being told, we do have a solution, but you need to wait one more month. I was grateful that somebody was coming to take my blood for me because clearly I needed professional help. At the same time, another month is passing and I just want my data. As all I was interested in was getting my blood results so that I knew what my levels were. I felt deflated. I was happy that we were making progress, but at the same time, that disappointment of, I just want to know what's going on with my body. I want to know answers to questions I have. And I cannot get these answers by myself. I need the blood test to tell me. And I can't get to the blood test. By that point, so we're February time, I was deep into the research, not going out, not drinking, going to the gym, and then coming home and reading research and reading fertility studies. And as much as I enjoyed that and love it and have enjoyed learning and understanding the bigger picture around fertility, what I really needed was to get my data and then compare the two. So I understood where I sat. We can talk about what a normal AMHA level is and what it means whether yours is normal or low, but without knowing what mine was, I then couldn't make an informed decision. We get to March, a lovely nurse pops round one morning, takes 5 minutes to take my blood, and then off she goes. No trauma of hours of trying to get blood from my fingers, and no jumping jacks in my kitchen. Fertility were then very quick. I then received a report outlining all of my levels, whether they were normal, high, low, and what that meant. Because for some of these results, you don't look at one hormone on its own, you look at that hormone in combination with the other hormones as well. And that's what gives you an indicator to whether you are in range or as expected for your age and for your health, or you're not. And depending on whether you are or you're not, depends on what advice you're given. Once I had that report, Fertility also set me up with a call with a specialist, a fertility specialist. They ran through my blood results with me and also asked me what my goals were, because depending on my goals and depending on my results would depend on what they would advise or suggest as next steps. Off the back of the results and that conversation, I then booked in for an internal exam. Now, this internal exam took place at a private baby clinic not too far from where I live. I asked one of my friends if she was free, if she wouldn't mind coming with me. She said yes. I did pre-warn her that we were going to a baby clinic and there would be pregnant women there. She was fine with that and more than comfortable to come with me, but I thought it was important to give her the heads up. I recognised the name of the clinic when I booked because I have had friends who have gone there previously during their pregnancies. So I kind of knew what to expect, but being there for an internal exam and being there for a baby scan are very different. I don't know anybody else who's been for that kind of exam in that kind of environment. So we arrive for the exam, waiting room is completely empty, it's just me and my friend, we sit down, it's very relaxed, very chill. One of the nurses there took me through to the exam room and said to me, we're going to perform this scan in silence, in the dark. And my brain went into overdrive because I am a data-led person, it's why I wear a Whoop, because it gives me all of my data, and it doesn't have a screen. Going into an internal exam I've never had before, with nobody talking to me and telling me what they're doing and explaining what it means, I would have struggled. So when we went into the exam room, I said to the nurse, can we talk? Is that okay? Is that allowed? Please talk to me. And she said, yeah, you can. So when I went in, there was a guy that was doing the exam and a female chaperone. And they were both incredible. Very patient, very kind, over-explained every single thing they were doing step by step. And I really appreciated that. I'm not really an anxious person, but I was nervous going in because I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what I would be told or what they would see or what they wouldn't see. And I was forever just watching this guy's face for any sort of reaction. I think they're trained to have poker faces though. And then I asked, can we put the screen on? Because I know from the baby scans that there's a screen in that room. And they said, yes, we can. She put the screen on for me. I made a big mistake and only brought my prescription sunglasses with me and not my regular glasses. So although I could see the screen, it was at the other end of the room and it was very, very difficult. So I got the gist of what they were showing me, but I couldn't see the detail on the screen. What was very cool was that I could see, a little bit blurry, but I could see my ovaries and my eggs, which I find fascinating. Science is wild. And the fact that we even have this technology that shows us the insides of our bodies is incredible. As we went through the scans, we looked at my womb, my cervix, both ovaries, the eggs inside my ovaries. The person doing the scan said to me, okay, no red flags. There's nothing here that is a big major cause for concern. He knew what he was looking for. He didn't go into detail. He took lots and lots of measurements, but he did say that reassurance of There are no red flags. We're not seeing anything unexpected here. Honestly, I think my heart rate dropped by about 20 beats per minute. I didn't even realise I'd been almost holding my breath, waiting for that reassurance. So all in all, the exam took about half an hour. And I think to sit in silence in the dark for half an hour with somebody with a camera inside your body is wild. And my brain would have just been in overdrive. What are you looking at? Why are you spending so long in this particular position? Is everything okay? Having both people there explain everything in detail as we were going through the scan was really helpful. And I recommend, if you are going for a scan like that, ask the question, can you talk me through the exam? Can you put the screen on? When I left the exam room, the waiting room was full. I'd been gone 30-ish minutes and the waiting room had completely filled up. There were couples everywhere, there were pregnant women everywhere, and then there was my friend sat in the corner on her phone, looking down, not making eye contact with anybody. And I do not blame her. I think the other people in the waiting room thought she was a really bad partner for not coming in to the exam with me. I think she was a really good friend for coming to the waiting room with me. And we're close, we have a really good friendship, but we do have some boundaries, and an internal exam is one of those boundaries. We had the conversation on the way home that having a scan like I had at the same time that the clinic is open for women who are pregnant to have baby scans is really difficult. I don't know if there's a way or if there's enough demand to offer in the morning it's for the pregnant women, and for the afternoon slot it's for the people who are not pregnant. I don't know whether that's possible, but I think that would help. I'm not in a position where I would be triggered by seeing somebody who's pregnant, or it would really, really hurt and upset me. But there will be women that are going for scans like me that have had prior experiences that means seeing somebody who's pregnant sat in front of them is going to be deeply upsetting for them. And I don't know whether there's a way of making it a little bit kinder, a little bit more sensitive. Post that exam, fertility then took that exam, my blood results, and the conversation I'd had with the specialist a few weeks before, and produced a comprehensive report. It was helpful, really, really helpful. As somebody starting to dip their toe into the world of my own fertility, having everything in one place, in one report, at the tip of my fingers on my phone was helpful. And I would recommend, if it's not fertility, a very similar service if you are just starting out. The report listed everything, and it also gave me recommended next steps. I didn't wait for the report to come through before I started taking any action. I had 3 tests, so that's 3 months of waiting, then waiting for my blood test, then a conversation with a fertility specialist, then an internal exam, then the results from that internal exam, and then the full comprehensive reports. If I hadn't done anything at all, that would have taken 3.5 months maybe. Instead, I decided in the January, as soon as I ordered the fertility test, I'm going to start doing the things that I know are going to improve my health and increase my fertility. And even if it turns out that my fertility was through the roof, which it was not, all of the things I'm doing are going to improve my health anyway. So there's not wasted time or wasted efforts. And I'm glad I started when I did, because I feel incredibly healthy now. And I know that I've been working towards increasing my fertility for as long as I could. I haven't wasted any time. That report has given me baseline data, and I am interested to retest next year and then compare the data. I don't know necessarily what of the things I'm doing are going to move the needle on some of my results. I'm hoping it's a little bit of everything. And I don't know if even my results will change. It could be that everything I'm doing to increase the quality of my eggs and the environment that my eggs are in is counteracted by my increasing age. I don't really know. I'm hoping not. I'm hoping that I'm doing so much work and my body is becoming so healthy on the inside that don't really notice that I'm getting a little bit older and my eggs are okay. I do know that's not how the science works. That's a little bit of wishful thinking, but we can hope. If you are starting out, if you have questions around your fertility, I know that fertility is not the only option. There are others, but I do recommend that you start there. Before you spend an absolute fortune going to a fertility clinic and sitting in front of a doctor, get an at-home kit, get your results, see what it says, and then go and speak to the doctor, because you will have your baseline data and you will go into that conversation much more informed. I have launched a podcast. I've said this a few times now, and it still feels weird to say. Thank you so much for tuning in, listening, watching, subscribing, liking, commenting. I see everything, and I'm super excited to have you along on the journey with me. Fertility is an incredibly sensitive subject, and it impacts and affects everybody in a slightly different way. Everybody has a different idea about what their fertility means to them, how important their fertility is to them. If you are not watching this for you, and you know somebody in your life that is experiencing something with their fertility, or they're asking questions, or they're considering freezing their eggs, or maybe they're looking into IVF, or maybe they're looking at having a baby on their own, please do send this content to them. I would love for them to watch and feel like they are not alone in this. You can have the best friends, which I do, and an incredible family, which I do, and still feel like you are very much alone on this. It is incredibly personal, and as much as your friends and your family and your partner can support you, there are other people out there just like you, in the trenches, trying to suss it all out, trying to work out what to do next, trying to make decisions, trying to get access to their data, make informed decisions about what to do. I hope this helps, and I hope when you see this content, watch these videos, you feel slightly less alone.